Good afternoon, everyone. It is noon on Monday, and I don't want it to be the week just yet. I don't know about y'all, but I'm not ready for it. I've already been super productive this morning, though, which is great. But, you know, here we are, doing the thing. We're gonna do some Castlevania, Symphony of the Night tonight. Because, like, I usually play it like once a year or so, and I think I missed it last year with just everything that was going on. So here we are, gonna do it now. I love this game. And I replay it a lot, or have replayed it a lot. So I'm fairly familiar with everything and where it's all located, but that's fine. But yeah, I hope everyone's doing all right. Hope things are going well. I think we're just gonna hop on in it, do the thing, I guess, make the thing happen. Hey, Bloodborne. Shh. No more Bloodborne music. We love Bloodborne music, but no more Bloodborne music. All right. So yeah, like I said, I've played this before. It's great. I did also mess around with my sound settings this morning because I know that they've been a little wacky lately. Hopefully I've resolved it. If not, we'll find out, I guess. Just let me know. As per usual. Yeah, that's good. It's fine. Journey back to 1792. Come with me on this little adventure. Oh, dang. Symphony of the Night remake when? Can we get a remaster? I would love to see this all pretty. I mean, it's already pretty, let's be real. But prettier? Can we make it prettier? Gotta go beat Dracula. Alright. Oh my god. This is fine. Oh, instant nostalgia. Everything's cool. Oh, dang. The trick is being good, though. And I mean, it has been a little bit since I've played, so... Need to remember to run. Ooh. Is it... It's not that one! Yeah, I'm just trying to remember the controls. It's been a while. Okay, well, it's fine. Give me all the hearts!
Die, monster! You don't belong in this world.
It was not by my hand that I'm once again given flesh. I was called here by humans who wish to pay me tribute.
Classic.
Tribute? You steal men's souls and make them your slaves.
Perhaps the same could be said of all religions.
Your words are as empty as your
So
soul.
controversial.
Mankind ill needs a savior such as you.
What is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets. But enough talk. How about you?
Isn't it good? Isn't it good? I love it. Dracula, get out of here. So yeah, just, I mean, like any game, I'm bad at this, but I love it. I love it so much. It was very good timing. I'm impressed. Doesn't it though? Ugh. No, no. Okay. How are you doing today, Fruity? How's it going? I'm doing this so bad. Dracula. I've been playing so much Hollow Knight lately that I am defaulting to those. Not necessarily mechanics, but the feel of that game, and it's different. I'm glad you're having a good day. I saw that you were secret streaming. Jen, hello. I meant to pop in, but I've been very productive this morning, and I didn't want to interrupt myself because I was getting it all done, and it was great. I've done so much already, and I've only been up for like 3 hours. How are you doing this morning, Jen? How's it going? That's fair. Alright, good to know. I did want to see you, like, make the little men's. Dracula, go! Get out of here! Were the robots... What did you do to the robots? Where are you going, buddy? Oh, no. Can we do it again? I can't do it again. No! I was so close. Y'all don't know Ligmas? That's unfortunate for you. Y'all should meet some.
It cannot be.
Also, almost beat Dracula without a revive, but I'm not that good. Good, I'm proud of P2. It was Richter Belmont, the legendary vampire hunter who succeeded in finally ending the menace of Count Dracula, Lord of the Vampires, who had been brought back from the grave by the Dark Priest Shaft. However, one night 4 years later, under the glare of a full moon, Richter mysteriously vanished. With no idea of where to begin her search, Maria Renard set out to look for him. It was then that fate intervened. Castlevania, the Castle of Dracula, which is rumored to appear once every century, suddenly materialized from out of the mist as if to show her the way. Meanwhile, powerful forces were struggling for the soul of a man named Alucard. The very same Alucard who had teamed up with Trevor Belmont to battle his immortal father, Count Vlad Tepes Dracula. So dramatic, and I love it. Alucard, in order to purge the world of his own cursed bloodline, had submerged his vampiric powers and entered into what was supposed to be an eternal slumber, but now he is awake and aware of the evil once again at work in his homeland. The time has once again come for the forces of good and evil, capital G and E, to engage in their ancient battle. Dracula's castle beckons for you, and no man can say who shall emerge victorious. It's me. I will be victorious. So I guess they're right. No man can say. Hi, I'm funny sometimes. Oh, goodness. But no, it's good to know the P2 owned you so thoroughly. The loading screen. One time for shits and giggles, I hung out in this opening hallway and just killed monsters until I was practically max level. Just because I had nothing better to do. I won't be doing that now, I promise. Don't worry. Oop. Yeah, it took a long time. Needless to say, I was a little inebriated at the time. I was just entertained. I found like a really nice spot to just sit where like the zombies couldn't spawn under me or behind me. So I was very entertained for a very long time. Yeah, Def 24-hour stream. Let's go. Let's go. Everything else is canceled. You gotta remember. I said I wasn't gonna sit here and do all this, and then I got distracted and started doing it. I'll stop. We'll continue on. I mean, but no, I love Castlevania. They're not all good, but there's a lot of very good ones. That describes a lot of them, actually. Ooh. Oh, water. Jump! Jump! Alucard, I need you to stop getting hurt so you can jump out. Portrait of Ruin? Okay. Oh. Oh. I honestly haven't played a ton of the ones, I think after Symphony of the Night. I've played a lot of the ones before it. But I think at that point, I, like, either didn't have the console, that, you know, supported them, or I was broke and doing other things with my life. I think it was a Game Boy one?
Alucard, what is your business here?
I've come to put an end to this.
There you go, Aria of Sorrow. I definitely need to play a lot of the later ones.
But I demand you cease your attack.
Death, I'm not
I
gonna.
will not.
You shall regret those words. We will meet again.
I haven't finished it yet either, but I did really enjoy the Netflix series for Castlevania. I thought they did a really good job. I think I only got through the first season though, because when it came out I happened to be in Colorado on my own with nothing to do but work training and a lot of time to kill when I was at the hotel, so I binged all of that in a single go. That was great. Loved that for me. Oh no. There we go. Boop. I got nothing. But yeah, maybe I'll play more of the Castlevanias on the channel at some point. I've got, I think I've got one for the PS2 downloaded. Yeah, Death's kind of an asshole sometimes. I think the Red Rust is better than what I have. It is not. Excuse me. I was wrong. I was extremely incorrect. Fruity, thank you for the contribution to the Big Tibby Goth stream. I like how closed captions says Big Tubi. That's incorrect. I need to start figuring out what I'm gonna wear for that. I got some options. Give me the fairy cube. Cube of Zoe or whatever. It's fine. It's good transitional rooms. Also, the music in this game absolutely slaps. I love it. So much. Hey. Oh, right. Well, I guess I'll get that now. I suppose we'll grab that now. Thanks for the armor, bud. Let's just go. Did I play Bloodstained Ritual of the Night? I don't believe so. Again, is it a PlayStation 1 game? My relationship to, like, PlayStation 1 games is mixed, to say the least. I love PlayStation, like, PS1 era games. Made recently by the dude who made all the good Castlevanias. Okay. I mean, I'd be willing to check it out. That sounds dope. Oh, you're doing that. Okay. Oh, yeah. Never mind. We can't do that. No matter what I do, it's bad there. I'll definitely have to check that out. I'm here for it. Oh no. Honestly, at this point, I'm mostly just here. Bees. I'm mostly just here to vibe. I love this game so much. I just zone out a lot playing it. It's great. Don't worry about it. Oh, come on. Come on. Alucard. I'm double tapping and you're not running. And that's a problem. Oh, well. Give me the things. There was a point in time where I remembered where, like, everything was located. And it was really gross. Like, how much I knew what was happening in this game. Not anymore. I've got a memory of a goldfish. Level up. Can I get there from here? No. Yes, I can. What am I saying? Thoughts. Not that it matters. Sir. First boss is that terrible pterodactyl thing, isn't it? Only sometimes. I either, like... I mean, as we've seen, I can figure out some, like, really difficult puzzles instantly. But then it comes to, like, the easy stuff. And I'm like... What am I doing? Terrible Dactyl is his name. Sounds about right. Hey. Hey. Ugh. Oh, that's because there's a fucking pillar there. Don't poison me. Don't kill me. We're doing this real bad already. Where's my stuff? Just yeet that. I know, they're rude. They're very rude. Right, okay. Part of the issue is I keep going for the analog. Or like the analog sticks, and that's not how you play this. Oh, come on. Oh, I need you to scooch a little closer, buddy. Alright. Okay, I've done this terribly. Yes, accurate. I mean, it's fine. It's, again, mostly just a matter of, like, getting reacclimated to it, and then also not defaulting to Hollow Knight stuff. Because I'm defaulting to Hollow Knight at this point. It's push up. Push up to save, not down. This is the problem when you switch between various, like, Metroidvania games, is that you expect them all to be the same, and that's not how it works, especially when there's a significant, like, what is it, like 2 decades between the games? When you got that substantial development time difference. I like this better than the daggers. It's a door I can't access. Yeah, it's been a minute. Still plays real well, though. I think, at least. Well, when I do it good. It's good stuff, though. I love it. Boop. Terrible Dactyl and his little buddy, right? I don't remember. Hold on, I'm trying to figure out what button it was that activated my little power, and it's not working. I thought it was triangle. That's what I used with, Richter. No. Is it? No, triangle's just... Yes, that is accurate. Alright, well, we're gonna die. We're def gonna die. But, it's fine. Well, okay, again, to be fair, in that first section, it was just triangle. And now it's up and attack. They changed it on me and I didn't like it. Alright, it's fine. We'll try it again. It's fine. Yeah, I know, I died. I am aware. Game, I do know. Okay. I should have probably figured that out before I got into a fight. Maybe? Maybe. I don't know, I guess we'll find out. It has, like I said, it's been a minute since I've played this. I used to all the time, but not anymore. Back when my PC couldn't handle anything except for like a PlayStation 1 emulator. Yeah, dying sucks. Cause you gotta go through the whole loading thing again. Actually, maybe we will stick with the dagger for now. Oh, buddy. And I mean, it's fine. There's lots of really great games on the PlayStation. But let's just stab him a few times. But yeah, so this was like one of the staples that I played. Can you not? Hey. Stab. Come here. But what if we just stab him like this? A lot. Alright, well, that's all my hearts. Oh, this is already going significantly better. We can get rid of this boy. But yeah, like I was saying, like when my computer was a potato, Castlevania was like one of the only things I ever played. It was very good. Good, he doesn't have a stupid stick anymore. Get out of here. Drop you, buddy. Thank you. Hey, you wanna come here? Oh, he angry. I need to be able to get close to you, buddy. Alright. Cool. Much better! Now that I know what I'm doing, we're fine. Health up! Alright. And there's no running yet. I'm not allowed to run. Alright. That's fine. Hey, I want hearts. It's I mean, I guess. But then I have to deal with turning around again. Nobody likes that. We'll just do this. This is how we go. I mean, it's a way. I don't know. I don't mind it going a little slow. It's fine, I guess. Oh, another save point. Save. I will continually hit down to save. All the time. That's just how I do it. But what I'm hearing is that you just moonwalk everywhere. Very quickly moonwalk everywhere. It's good. It's good, good strats. I bet all the speedrunners use it. Oh, come on, lamp. No, I don't want that one. I don't like that one. I don't even remember what it does. I just remember I don't like it. Alucard. Buddy. I'm gonna need you to duck faster than you're ducking. No, alright. We'll stick with the daggers for now. What's here? Right, I have a map. I forgot about the map. Yeah, I don't mind the holy water. Ghost Panda, hello! How is it going? How are things? Oh, getting hit. Alright, that's cool, bud. Hey, bud. Hey, friend. All done. But hello, welcome. Happy to have you here. Get out of here, man. Alright. I'm definitely not gonna break everything. Thank you. I appreciate it. Slash always support people dyeing their hair colors. It's great. I don't think I've had my natural hair color in 13 years? Yeah, that sounds about right. Jesus. Let's just let that sink in for a hot second. Time is awful. Oh, another safe spot. Already on it with over-saving all of the time. It's great. We love it. We're here for it. But yeah, do it. Do it. Dye your hair pretty colors. We love that. But yeah, welcome. Hello. We're happy to have you here. It's our chill afternoon stream. Just playing some good nostalgia games. Usually we do point and clicks and stuff like that during the afternoon. But I was feeling some Castlevania. It's true, you do. It's games like this that like really solidified the whole I have to save 20,000 times vibe that like still sticks with me to this day. But we love it. We love it for it. Give me this. Ugh. Can't wait till I can double jump. The sooner the better. I think it's a ways off though. Oh, freaking doll. Enemies, I need you to chill out for a second while I look at chat, okay? Oh no! It depends on... So I do my hair all at home on my own because it's so much cheaper that way. It could also potentially be like what volume you're using. I mean, bleach is an irritant, obviously. But also don't do anything that like makes your head hurt. I'm sorry that it's so sensitive. But even still, just doing like the lower half would be super cute. Hey, face the right way, bud. Hey, buddy. Hey, friend. I hate these dolls, and I need them to go away. Okay? Thanks. Thanks. That's the fairy friend, isn't it? Spirit orb? Is that... No, it shows enemy damage. When do I get the fairy? I just want a companion. I just want my friends. I think I use the imp a lot, usually. Him or the bat, because the bat's fun. That's fair. We appreciate having you here for however long you are able to stay. What do you got planned for stream this afternoon? What are you gonna play? If you don't mind my asking. Because I know you said that Fridays were like your farming day, right? So you do a lot of farm simulators. Wrong way, Alucard. You've gone the wrong way, bud. Oh, we're gonna die. We're gonna die. We're definitely gonna die. It's gonna be bad. Yeah, he hurts. He hurts a lot, and I don't remember the best way to get around him just yet. It'll come back to me eventually. Do we have any more healing stuff? Not. Well, I've got a couple of potions. Yeah, we'll do that for now. Grimworld Monday. Hey, that works for us. Fruity's been playing some Rimworld on their channel, and it's very good with the Twitch toolkit. The madness is fantastic. Okay, I need these little babies to go away. Hey, stop. Hey, stop. All right. That's because you're a monster? I can. Okay, I don't have to jump. These guys also hit very hard. Oh, Lord, do they hit hard. Real. So have royalty or ideology expansions like before them next month. Nice! Surprise, Fruity, you're actually kind of a monster sometimes. We love you. We do adore you. But you make some questionable choices sometimes. Cannibal tribes? Hell yeah! I 100% support this. Take that as you will. I just like summoning in summoning in boom rats just to annoy Fruity. And then attempting to do, you know, nuclear fallouts and stuff like that. Because, like, why not? Why not let everyone suffer? Alright, let's try this section again. I just can't stress enough that I've never promised that I'm good at these games. I need you closer, bud. Thank you. Fantastic! More shields! Love that for us. Which I keep forgetting that I have that. There's a multiplayer mod? Yeah, okay. Oh! I would definitely ask Fruity, because I have no idea. I like RimWorld. I like watching RimWorld. I don't think it's a game that I would ever really enjoy playing. It seems like there's way too much stuff, and it would be extremely stressful for me. And or annoying. A little bit of all of the above. Circlet. Yeah, okay, let's put it on. It helps. As I say, most of the extensions and stuff have pretty detailed, like, explanations on how to set them up. Except for Disco Elysium, that's the only one that didn't have a detailed explanation. Which I'm gonna see about getting that up and running. Hopefully they've, like, updated it since it originally dropped. For whenever we do that donation stream. Nice. Get the toolkit, make it happen. Do the thing. Okay. Oh, well, we're on the other side of him. Let's just continue on. It's Boom Rat, Fruity. Thank you very much. Hey, I'm gonna need you to stop throwing boomerangs at me, alright? But they're worth it. They're worth it. They're so worth it. Maybe one day I'll have enough points to summon in 100 boom rats. No, I'm still waiting for the, the fallout to happen. I just want the terrible, awful fallout. That's it. I'm so close to having enough points. It'll be great. I forgot I had that. I'm gonna stick with the dagger. I know I said I was gonna try the holy water, but, you know. Yeah, toxic fallout! Oh! No! I shouldn't have backed up! Damn it! Toolkit might not work. It hasn't been updated in a while. No. You are bad at building roofs, though. It's true. Like, it's facts. Maybe if the fallout happens, maybe if the toxic fallout shows up, then you'll learn. This is me, it's not me punishing you, it's me just trying to teach you a lesson. Oof. They're gonna do an update soon? This is good. Oh, hold on a second. Oh, also, thank you for sending me that thing, Fruity. I just saw it. Alright, let's figure out what I'm doing. I would like this big old fire thing to be done. Maybe I should just not go this direction. Maybe it's just a bad idea for me to go there right now. Oh no. This is the proper direction. This is where I need to be. Because I think Maria's over here. Or maybe not now.
Wait a moment.
No, she's here. Okay.
You seem human, and yet, what do you here?
RimWorld, breaking all the mods with your
I've
dang
come
updates.
to destroy this castle.
Then we have the same purpose.
Also, Free,
I'll
you're
trust
usually
you
here
for
for my
now.
stuff. How is the
I'm
sound
Maria.
in the
Who are
game?
you?
Or like how in general, how is stream
Alucard.
sound? Does it sound better
Not
than
the
before?
talkative type, I can see. Well, perhaps we'll meet again, if you live that long. Farewell.
There's an anthro mod? That's dope. I want up there, but I think I need the double jump to get up there anyway. Dang. Alright, sound as good as it had before. Yeah, it was, so... An issue I've apparently been having is that, like, game sound has been too quiet, and I've also been very quiet, so everyone has to turn their stuff up, like, really, really loud to hear me. Which is not great. But I messed around with it a little bit, so it should be more even across the board. I guess I just wanted to make sure that the changes that I made have not made it atrocious. That's all. Yeah, a couple people had pointed it out, to which it's like, why did no one mention this sooner? Just gotta wait it out a little bit. I mean, if it's just next week, it should be fine, right? Stop! Get off the stairs! Oh my god. Get, go, be gone. I am annoyed. Anira, hello! Welcome, welcome, welcome! How is it going? How are you doing? No. Clock is very bad. We don't like the clock. Right? Speaking of the fiance, here she is. You both use she, her pronouns, correct? I want to make sure I'm getting this right. And if not, I apologize, and we'll subsequently fix that. Okay, cool. Cool, cool, cool. That's what I thought. I've been meeting a lot of new people lately, and so it's keeping everything straight in my head is not is not the easiest to do. But good, good. I'm glad I remembered. Awesome. But yeah, hello, welcome. Glad you're here. That door is magically sealed. Can't go there. I guess. Get out of here, skeleton. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not like the beans do anything. It's fine. Plus, I mean, it's fine. Yeah, it's just fine. There are big plant ladies in here. No, I need you closer. I need you closer. Stop backing up. Come here. Okay. Also, thank you for planting that bean. I gotta get rid of that. you got the beans back, so I don't have to make up for it. That's not my job anymore. Alright, buddy. Level up! Hey, a save spot would be cool sometime soon. I'm very far away from all of my save spots. I would like another one. I mean, sometimes you just gotta do stuff out of spite, even against yourself. That's how I've gotten this far in life. I'm fueled purely by spite and pettiness. And bad memes. Stop. There we go. I know they don't hurt me when when they're exploding, but I'm still always so scared that they're gonna hurt. Cool. But I'm hungry. There have been a lot of Little Shop of Horror references lately. I think I need to rewatch this now. Maybe that's what I'll do between streams. Sounds like a good use of my time. What's up here? Is there a save spot here? Is this a save spot? I know there's one on this side of the castle. I mean, we could secret stream it. We didn't do our horror movie this week because I had a lot going on. We could secret stream Little Shop of Horrors, but the question is, do we do the original? Oh, I need to heal. It would be extremely unfortunate if I died now. Alright. Freaking Medusas. Yeah, I'd be down to stream it so we can watch it together. But do we watch the classic? Or like the original? Or do we watch the very good musical? They're both very good. The trouble is, they're both fantastic. Hi, Burb! Have you seen either of them? Have you seen Little Shop of Horrors? Fruity. Fruity. Because if not, then we are definitely 100% doing this. Get out of here, Medusa! Because, like... Okay, you've only seen the musical version? That's acceptable. It's very good. It's so good. I love it. The cast is fantastic. Alright, if you could just do that for forever while I just try and take you out, that'd be cool. Nope. Stop! God, he has so much health! Okay, you know what? Save point's definitely not there. And I can't go through there, and that's the only two options. Alucard. Alucard! What? Why won't you make the jump? Stop. Stop. I'm gonna die. And it's gonna suck. And I'm gonna be very mad. Don't do this to me. Alright, well, Little Shop of Horrors. We'll definitely have to watch the original at some point. But we'll probably watch the musical version because it's delightful. I can't get up because it was too high of a jump, right? Oh, screen has gone a little weird. Hey, screen, why are you doing that? There's a remake? No, so there was the original, like, 1930 version with Jack Nichols in it. Why did the screen go funny? I don't know why it's doing that. I'm gonna just continue on. We're just gonna continue on. Yeah, so there was a, like, I want to say it was, like, 1930, it might have been, like, the 50s, though, honestly. I would highly recommend everyone check out the original. It's good. It's, it's weird, but it's good. But then, yeah, the one with, shit, what is his name? Why can't I think of it? Nope, nope, name's gone. Name's gone, completely, entirely. There's a save point over here because there's a boss over here. I think this is the boss room? This is- what? No! Oh no! This is bad! I've done it bad! I forget that they immediately lock you in. It's fine. We'll do this. We'll get rid of the lady. It's a hawk lady, isn't it? She's fast. That's all I remember. No, it's me! It's not a hawk lady. I mean, I'm kind of a hawk lady. Let's be real. Alucard, I need you to face the right way. I also need you to not be in the corner. Come here. Hey, buddy. I don't know how that didn't hit. No, I need to not be up there. Please don't let me be up there. Did I actually kill? I was certain I was gonna die. Oh, wow. Okay. That was very good. Loved that for me. Yeah. 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 He kind of just... He learned it from watching me. He was like, well, maybe if I just crouch here, then I can't get me. Joke's on him. I could get me. Oh, better weapon. Let's go. Let's go. Let's actually go. I was 100% certain that we were gonna die. I was dreading having to walk all the way back out here, but we got him. It's fine. If I... What is happening over there? What is that? Okay, well, my game's bugging a little bit. I gotta... work with my emulator a little, see what's going on with that. But it's fine. Nothing's game-breaking just yet. It's just graffiti. Oh, you know, the moving graffiti that we occasionally come across? There are enemies here that I don't want to deal with just yet. I don't know that I want to do this. A wizard made it. You know what? That makes sense. I'd believe that 100%. But yeah, I don't know that I want to be here just yet. Stop. 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 All of you, stop. Okay, I'll just go back in here. That's fine. Ugh. What? I would absolutely play the crap out of that game. Please. No, I still can't. Why am I still cursed? There we go. Dang books. Libraries are dangerous. Don't tell Allie I said so. She'd hate it. Or agree with me. I don't know. One of the two. But yeah, no, quick. Someone find a dev who wants to make a game where you're a graffiti wizard. It's kind of her story to tell, but like, at one point I was helping with like some moving stuff at one of the libraries that she previously worked at. And while I was setting up shelves or like putting stuff on shelves or something a little ways away from her, all of a sudden I just hear this like huge, loud crashing noise. And like, before I can even ask if she's okay, I hear her go, "I'm fine!" And then there's a silence. And then she's like, "Actually, I don't think I'm okay."
It's been a long time.
So I come around the corner and she's just like,
It's you, Master
laid out on the ground. I need
your
these people
help.
to stop talking.
Young master, I cannot aid one who opposes the master.
I have
Won't
coin.
Go unrewarded.
Really? In that case, just tell me what you need.
Perfect. Yeah, I like come around the corner and she is like laying on the ground with like these shelves all around her, like these big metal shelves that have like really sharp edges on them. And her leg is like sliced open. Joni, hi! But yeah, her leg is like sliced open and just like bleeding everywhere. And she's like, "I think I need some help." And I'm like, "Allie!" So I had to play medic for a little bit while we tried to figure out what was going on. And then I had to take her to the hospital and she got stitches and it was pretty badass. So hey guys, being a librarian is dangerous. Moral of the story,
I'm
it's
interested in
dangerous.
this.
Thank you.
I can't see what that says. I can't read what any of these say.
Thank you.
This was a couple years ago, back when, at her previous library, without giving any, you know. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to mess around with the settings of my emulator. The wizard strikes again.
I'm interested in
Wizard!
this.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, this was a while ago. It's fine. She is okay. Mostly just talking about how dangerous being
I'm
a...
interested in this.
Cell gems. Hold on.
Farewell for now.
Yeah, this is a
What
problem.
can I do for you?
Hang on a second. Can I... Okay, well...
I'm interested in this.
Is it though? Oh, okay. No, I know what these are. I know what that is. Never mind. I don't want that. I do want to play with the loading screen, though.
Farewell for now.
Okay. Here, can we... I should go save. I should go save before I before I quit, we should save. And then I'll mess around with the settings just a little bit to see if I can get it to... so I can read what I'm purchasing. Because that's a bit of a problem. Anyway, hi Jody, how's it going? How are you doing? There was a lot happening all of a sudden. I was unprepared. And now Devo's over here screaming at me. Hi, buddy. Yeah. Are you sure? Oh! Okay. Let's... I'm starting to remember the controls a little bit more. I'm still not doing great, but like... it's a little less of a struggle. Just a little, though. Ouch. Boop. No, no, no. I don't want you here. Ectoplasm is the worst. Not about it. Oh, jeez. Where is... gotta go all the way back out here. Look. Look, game. I just wanna... well, hey, the screen is no longer all screwy. That's nice. But, yeah, I would like to be able to read what I'm purchasing. Feels like it's vaguely important. I mean, I could just guess, but I don't want to. Well. Okay, next one. Right, because this is where boss was. How unfortunate it would be if a boss, like, respawned as I was trying to get through there to go to the save point. Would hate that for me. Yeah, save my info. Thank you. Fantastic, I love that. So let me pop on over here and try to change these settings. Like, I had it so that it was fine previously, but that was before I got my new computer, and I don't think I've used the PS1 emulator since I got my new computer. So that's a little bit of a problem.
Unacceptable!
Dear Jesus, that was loud. Oof. But yeah. Basically, I know. It's the worst. Hold on, trying to see what... I was for Detrell. Okay. Fast? I still want this to be the same. This shouldn't matter. The desktop and window size should not matter. Oh, hitting all sorts of buttons. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Okay, let's try that. Please don't be 5,000 times louder than you need to be. Oh, are you... Why don't launch in full screen? That's not what I want. No, I closed out of you. You shouldn't exist anymore. Why are you still making noise? Hi, I've done it bad. Are you still there? Yeah, you are. And Alright, I'm like very scared that when I go to launch this again, it's gonna be very loud. So, heads up on that. I'm gonna try to not blast you out, but like, no promises. Okay. Hold on, sorry. Changing some things again. And of course, because I'm hitting all the keys that I've, like, hotkeyed. We're just gonna keep, like, bouncing around all over the place, and it's fine. It's fine. Okay, let's try that. Please don't be too loud. Please don't be too loud. Oh, it looks like it's actually, like, stayed at the same settings. That's great. Love that for us. Are you gonna capture? Hey, game capture. There you go. Okay, let's see if this works now. I'm very worried that it's not. Because I'm also just confused as to why that specific text doesn't show, but all the other text does. You know? It's fine. We'll figure it out. And if not, then we just won't purchase anything from the wizard for the time being. And by wizard, I mean librarian. Same thing, though. Realistically. Oh my god. Okay, bud. No, weird weird wizard graffiti's still there. I'm just trying to figure out what that is. I don't know what that's supposed to be. Doesn't matter, I guess. Get out of here. My assumption is that this has not fixed the text issues. Doesn't matter, we can continue on. We don't gotta see the wizard right now. It's fine. I want the wolf, though. Man. I did buy stuff, though, didn't I? What does the hammer do? Oh, it's for... Okay, yeah, it's for... familiars. I can't use this yet, because I don't have another one. Or I have yet to locate another one. But we found a shortcut, so that's cool. Oh, goodness. No, no! Honestly, worst enemy of the entire game, the fucking Medusa heads. Actually, the worst. The stun lock is real, and I hate it. You know what? Whatever. What did that open, by the way? You got Champion! Acceptable. Well, welcome back. I don't know that I've actually fixed the issue, but, it's fine. Basically just missed me complaining about Medusa heads. Clock tower. Well, like I was kind of saying, like, I'm confused as to why the text, it's only the wizard text that doesn't show up. Like, all the other text shows up. I don't know that I need to be here yet either, and that's kind of a problem. I do love me some Castlevania monster designs. It is. It's weird, and I'll forgive it, I guess. I suppose some things can't be helped. I just, again, like, I know that, like, with this emulator, I've used this one before, and, like, everything's run perfectly fine with Symphony of the Night previously, but now I got a new computer, and I gotta remember what settings I had. And that's hard. Oh, hey, look! Another save spot. Yeah, let's save. Might as well. Aw, dang. It gives me an excuse to play around with it again, though, so... No, I don't like the Bible. Medusas. Where am I? This is... Well... There we go. I guess we can go explore the library a little bit more. Or... No, that's a fast travel location. Library time. Library time. Get out of here! Man! Stop! I don't like being a tennis ball. Don't hit me back and forth. That's not nice. Well, I guess we can go check to see if I fixed it. I don't think I did, but I think I need to be in here anyway. Got stuff to do in the library. They're little skulls. This also just makes me want to rewatch that BDG video about, like, the sexiest Castlevania monster. This is a good one. It was a good Unraveled. Right, I'm so sad it's done, but I also understand, and I'm also glad that Brian David Gilbert's able to move on to bigger and better things, but he will be missed at Polygon. He was a delight. Our stupid, nerdy, chaotic gremlin boy. It's okay. We still got Pat there, so it's fine. Bronze. Yes, give. I need better defense. I desperately need better defense. Thank you. Trying to think of what else is, like, happening or going on, and I'm just kind of like I said, I start playing Castlevania and my brain just goes brrr all the time. We understand. Sometimes you just gotta Norda Boy, but it's definitely all about the villains, what is it, Dodecagon or something like that? Yeah, I definitely need to go back and rewatch those. It's been a minute. The OSHA violation one will remain my all-time favorites because, you know, apparently I have an obsession with OSHA. No, but Smash needs to be safer. Sometimes you just gotta ask yourself, am I safe to Smash? It's good. Good times. Seriously though, streaming has made me realize that I talk about OSHA a lot, and I shouldn't. I shouldn't talk about OSHA. They're gonna find out and they're gonna come for me. What then? What will we do then? It'll all be over for me. Sometimes you just gotta build lore for an organization that is supposed to keep workplaces safe. I don't know. Is that not what everyone does?
What can I do for you?
I'm interested in this.
I still can't see anything. Fantastic. Love that for me.
I'm
Alright,
interested in
let's...
this.
At least it gives me, like, the description, so I'm not necessarily completely
Thank you.
unsure of what's happening. I just can't see stats. It's true. Sometimes you just gotta make weird lore. I can't afford it. Can't afford any of the good things. Forced camouflage. I can't afford anything! Oh, I can see the item at the bottom, though. Okay.
Thank you.
That's
Farewell for now.
not great, but it's at least a little helpful. Oh, no. Why am I there? What am I doing? Did I not buy a thing I can use? Well, that's unfortunate. Alright. I will forever be the Bean Rebel, even if there's no rebellion going on. Once a rebel, always a rebel. This is my title now, and I need everyone to respect it. I can't jump up there yet, but that's that weird plant that has the, like, shrunken heads on it. Not a fan of that enemy. Stop. Right, hard mode shop. Can't say I'm a fan. Can't say I'm a fan of the hard mode shop. No! Honestly, adding vines to sound alerts was probably the best decision I've, like, ever made. Ah, there's my fairy. Okay, look here. No, that just displays enemy names. Never mind. Damn it! I just want my friends. I just want a companion. I was gonna say, this feels like way too early to be able to get them, but I want them. I miss them. I miss them. I also want these books to stop trying to kill me. Don't appreciate it. Let's just go. Let's just leave. Let's just go. Oof, books. Also, Jody, thank you for the contribution for the Big Dibby Goth stream. I don't know why it's doing that. Yeah, the wizard's coming for us. Hardcore. Wizard's like, you're emulating my game, I see. This is how I feel about that. And it's like, Wizard, fucking get a job or something. I got shit I'm trying to do. Wizard, I'm just trying to enjoy my dang game. And the wizard's like, no, unacceptable. Right? They're not selling it anymore, Wizard. And I don't have a PlayStation 1. I would love to have one. But, like, Wizard. Also, yeah, Tree Wizard. Need to rewatch that as well. It's been a minute. Alright, so we're gonna watch Little Shop of Horrors. And then we're gonna watch Taskmaster. And then what? Then what are we gonna do? Also, these things. Aww.
Throwing some love your way.
Thank you. I gotta turn Kim roll down because I imagine she's way too loud now. But thank you for the 100 biddies, Anira. I super duper appreciate it. Any and all support is, like, you know, it means a lot to me. I was gonna say something clever and then I lost it. But thank you. New friends. Where am I going? Down. We should go down. I gotta go back through that long hallway. Alright, can we save? We should save. We should definitely save. Because I need health. And I also don't want to go through all of that nonsense again. I also don't remember exactly where I'm supposed to go, but that's fine. I know at some point, I have the item to get through blue doors now, right? Is that correct? Am I keeping track of things properly? Probably not. What are we... I think I'm still, like, stuck in whatever mode I was in last week. Right? Yeah, no, I definitely constantly look at the MP bar, and I'm like, oh, I'm doing completely fine on health. And then I see my actual health, and I'm like, oh, I'm at 7. I'm gonna die. Absolutely. I just need to keep remembering to look all the way to the left. But yeah, I think I'm still stuck in the mode from like last week of being like, oh god, we're starting all these new series, and I'm not ready. But it's like, no, we've pretty much started everything already. There's nothing new going on. Well, I mean, I guess there's this, but it doesn't count. This doesn't count. Hey, stop. Ah, there's a big eyeball out there. I forgot it was here this early. Look at him. Just hanging out. Taking a peek at what we're doing. I completely, like, missed him earlier, but I love him. I love that big eyeball. He's a cool guy. He just wants to see what's happening. He wants to be involved. But Dracula's like, no, no eyeballs allowed. And it's like, Dracula, why? Again, sometimes you just gotta make weird lore. And it's fine. Where haven't I gone? I can't go down there yet because it's blocked. What's over here? Give me them hearts. I'm at full hearts. I don't need hearts anymore. Right. Right, okay, cool. So I can access all of the blue doors now. Has that opened up the red things? That sounds... Dracula planned it bad. Dracula! Can't even read its mind because it doesn't have a brain. Buddy! thought he was being all clever and shit. No, he just made this miserable creature. Attack potion. That's not a permanent thing, is it? Yeah, no, temporarily. Alright, well... Did I just yeet my library card out of my... I don't want to throw that away. But yeah, Dracula thought he was being all clever and shit, but really he's just made this creature that hates its existence and can't even tell everyone how terrible it is. And I feel bad for that thing. That poor eye. He just wants to talk. He just wants to let people know how he's going. Get out of here. Alright, look at all these things we can do now. Again, weird lore. But for real, honestly, the most tragic character in all of the Castlevania series. I don't think I'm supposed to be here yet. We're just really doing everything out of order. Granted, that's just what I do. Okay. Well, right, we love you, Big Eye. You may not be able to talk to us, but we'll hang out. I know where I am. Freaking frog. I don't remember how to properly get out of here, though. Shiitakes. Give me the mushrooms. I know I've said it already, but the music in this game, fucking fantastic. Even still. It is very good. We love it. We're here for a good soundtrack. This takes me back to the main... No. That's not the main hall. Okay, never mind. Good soundtracks. Ouch. I'd say that, like, Castlevania and Doom have soundtracks that you just cannot go wrong with. Like, no matter what, they're just perfect. I'd definitely throw Paradise Killer up there as well, but that's like, well, I can't even say contemporary game. This is contemporary, but like, fairly recent, extremely recent, last couple of years, but also very good soundtrack. But as far as series are concerned, Castlevania and Doom, they'll never fail. Boop. Alright, buds. This place is very tall. And I'm gonna kill everything because I want to level up. Also true, anything by Supergiant, absolutely. Boy just jumped to his death. Yeah, I think... I don't remember if... I know we've talked about this, in regards to, like, Pyre being our least favorite of all the Supergiant games. Which isn't to say that Pyre's bad. Pyre is fantastic, and his soundtrack is alright. Still very good, but, like, as far as, like, having, like, across-the-board super bangers, like, Bastion, Transistor, and Hades are perfect. They're all perfect. It's important that we make that distinction. Yeah, give me that cool bandana. Look at how cool I am. I wish you could see the bandana on him. Transistor is definitely my fave of the soundtracks. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. Like, I will put that on. Like, I'll put on a lot of the Supergiant stuff just to have as, like, background noise. I'll put on Transistor just to, like, really enjoy it. Which says a lot about it, because I don't just listen to game soundtracks for shits and giggles. It's usually because I need background noise that doesn't necessarily have words all of the time. You do need to play Hades a lot. Honestly, if we lived in the same area, I would 100% just, like, bring my Switch over and be like, alright, do the thing, Fruity. Play Hades. It's such a good game. We gotta get you a Switch, bud. We gotta get you a not potato computer. We gotta do both. Both are very important. Where am I? Oh, there's still more to explore down there. Oh, fuck. Okay. Yeah, it's so good! It's, I need to do the final boss in Transistor. I need to replay it because it's been a while. I legit, like, a lot of times I don't finish a game because I get distracted while I'm playing it. And I got other shit going on, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I need to do this other thing. Where am I? I've been here. But I, like, refused to finish Transistor because I didn't want it to be over. So I got up to the point where, like, it's like the very, very last tail, like the tail end of the game, and I just, like, saved and walked away because I did not want it to be done. God, good game. But no, I also just need to replay it in general because it's been so long and I enjoyed it so much. I definitely can't get to that ledge. And there's another one. Another save spot. God, Transistor was good. Supergiant, like, makes some fantastic fucking games. Like, they're so good. And I need them to know how good they are. I know they know, but I need them to know. It's very good. Alright. Oh, it's you. I don't want to be here. Can you not reach me? Yeah, okay. It's true, they do only make bangers. These are facts? I need to not be here! I need to not be here! Everything is water! I can't jump! Okay. Alright. Listen here. Listen here, game. Fuck you and your water. Am but humble vampire who can't handle water. No, this is gonna kill me. 100%. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm so dead. Never mind. Let's just cheese every one of these fucking fights. It's true. It can't cross running water. I can't do it. Crystal Cloak. Gib. But seriously, I don't know how I'm surviving these fights. Because I keep doing it very bad, but apparently I'm doing it very good. Hey, Cloak, why are you freaking out? Oh, semi-invisible cape, okay. I don't know that you're supposed to be doing it like that, though. Vampires are actually kind of chumps if you think about it. They're actually sort of like, they're actually a bunch of losers if you really think about it. Like, you gotta invite them in. You gotta invite them into your house or they can't do shit. And it's like, legit. Bud, you can't do anything to me. Let me in and drink your blood. No, I don't think so. Not today. I'm not feeling it. I was gonna say, I do love me some vampires, but it's definitely 100% because they're just a bunch of fucking chumps. They're great. And it's lovely and it's wonderful and they just think they're so cool and it's like, buddy, you're an idiot. Right? They're so picky. Just eat them outside a little bit, it'll be fine. Can I block this? That's how this works, right? Yeah, and that like drains all that terribleness. Oh, it kills those boys. Right. Ugh. Good puzzles. Right, at that point, no, it's definitely like invite them over for like a night to just like hang out. You could probably like wear a garlic necklace or something to keep them at bay for the time being. But then yeah, like as soon as morning comes, just be like, ah ha ha! Throw open the curtains and BAM! Fucking losers. I love them. I love them. Vampires aren't actually scary, guys. They're just a bunch of sad, dumb, silly children that want you to take them seriously. But you can't, because what's there to take seriously? Anyway, thanks for coming to my TED Talk about how dumb vampires are and why I love them. Good afternoon. We love these stupid boys. This sounds like a lot of water in this direction, and I don't like it. Oh, fuck. I've made a terrible mistake. Okay, maybe it wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. It's still not great, though. Welcome to my crystal kingdom. Oh, shit. Ma'am. Ma'am. Let's just do it this way. Let's just do it this way. Stop! I should not be here. I am horribly ill-equipped for this terrible crystal water awful place. Oh, hey, Karen. How's it going?
I'll take you to a place which might be interesting for you.
Do it. Let's fucking go. Let's go, my guy. I didn't really get like a say in the matter. He's just sort of like, I'm taking you now, and it's like, yeah, I don't mind a free ride. Let's go! Splash. Hey, thanks, bud. I hope it gives me a thing to not be hurt by water. Mermaid statue? That makes it so I don't get hurt by water, right? No. It just summons the Orman. Buddy. So when you say there's an item that might be interested in, you mean there's an item over here that will give me something to do other than sit in this stupid cave all the time. Yeah, okay. I see, I understand. Oh, no. Bats. Alright, well, friend, thank you for this not completely useless, but definitely questionable trip. It's fine. We got that thing that opens up the blue doors so we can go check some other stuff out. And look! More health. Not totally useless, I guess. I don't want to deal with them, so we're not gonna. I've just said no. That's not better than what I've currently got, is it? No. Absolutely not. Okay. Ouch! I don't like the zombies. They're just annoying. Alright, get me out of here. This is where death mugged me. Thanks, Death. Love that for me. Boop. Right. Again, get a job. I need you to not steal my stuff. I gotta go do a murder on my dad and his stupid wizard. Shaft! Gotta go murder Shaft! What a bunch of dum-dums. That's fine. There was a blue door in this general area, I think? Ouch. Not over here. I know it's not here, but... that's fine. What time is it? Alright, we got a good while. Again, I just kind of lose myself when it comes to Castlevania. Portrait of Ruin, Death, and Dracula team up and you have to fight 2-on-2 with them. I mean, as long as you get a partner too, I guess it's fine. But that just sounds... I mean, Death and Dracula are pretty dope, so I can't be mad about that. Hey bud, I need you to jump over that thing. I'm gonna look into getting some of the other Castlevanias, and then maybe we'll play those during the morning, during our afternoon stuff. Because I played, it's true, Death is dope. We love Death. Take that as you will. It's not as ominous as it sounds, I promise. Yeah, no, they're all pretty good. We love them. Right, the blue door's over here, isn't it? Also, get out of here. Spittlebone. I should save. I should definitely save. We're gonna go find that long hallway that Maria's hanging out in. And I think we get a new move. Or maybe we get... no, it's definitely not... it's not one of our good items. I want to say it's a move. Or some progressive thing. I don't remember. I just know Maria's over there. Or at least I'm pretty sure Maria's over there. absolutely doubting like every aspect of this game now because I'm like, I don't actually remember what's happening. No, I like my axes. Let me keep my axes. Sup, lady?
So, we meet again, Alucard.
It seems so.
As friendly as ever, I see. It's strange.
Not your friend.
This castle is different than I remember it.
This castle is a creature of chaos. It may take many incarnations.
So I can't
Don't talk
trust
about
my
me that way.
memories, huh? Oh well, I'll do my best. Good luck.
Thanks. I'm gonna go. We're gonna go. Bye, Maria. Chapel! Save points! Ugh. Do 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 do. Do do boop 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 boop. I am very excited for whenever it is that we manage to get to the inverted castle, because that's a lot of fun. Stop. Oof. Don't like these guys. Stop. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. I've made a terrible mistake. I know, it's gonna be ages before we get to the Upside Down. But it's still one of my favorite parts of the game. Okay, bud. Look here. I'm doing everything very bad, and I hope you're very proud of me for doing it very bad. There we go. Hey, Alucard, I need you to jump. When I say jump, I need you to jump. Pot roast? Let's eat some pot roast. And then let's give ourselves that. We don't like Sharp Orb. Sharp Orb is kind of mean. Most things in this castle are kind of mean, actually. Let's be real. Nothing here is great. I hate Big Sword. Goggles. Goggles. No, they're worse than what I have. This bandana's pretty dope. Puppet sword. Get out of here. We're just gonna go for now. We're just gonna leave. You have fun, sword. Doing whatever you're doing. Oh. Oh. I remember this. Kinda. It's if he closes the curtain that I'm, like, in danger, right? I don't think I sat for long enough. Can we try it again? think we're okay. I remember you can get an item from there if you do something. But I don't remember what the conditions for that are. Oh well. Get out of here, Skellerang! Hey! We don't appreciate that. Alright. Let's ascend a tower. Aren't there like stupid crows here? Stop! At least they're not barking at me. Oh my god. Alright, I take it back. They're awful. Stop! Sir, I just want to get to the other side. That's all. That's all I want. No! Oh my gosh. No! I'm very upset. I'm very upset. I'm gonna die because I can't get past a couple of skeletons and a stupid crow. They're very bad. They're such bad crows. Like buds. Awful. Terrible. Awful. Awful. Alright, well we got past them. And then there's this stupid lady. Oof. No. I can't do that yet because I'm not a bat. One day I'll be a bat. And it'll be great. And then nothing will stop me. And I'll be able to zoom my way through everything. And that'll be cool. We'll love that for me. But until then, I gotta deal with the bad bats. And the bad crows. And just the bad in general. There's a lot of bad. Whatever. Be gone, bat. Don't. Ferdy, why would you do this to me? Never mind, I'll never be a bat. I take it back. I don't want to be a bat. I'll just be missed. I won't move very fast, but I'll go places. It's been a while since I've saved. I don't want to be here just yet. There has to be a save spot somewhere. There's a safe spot around here. There always is. There's always a safe spot near bosses. No! It's fine. I just have to go through the chapel all over again. I just have to go through the bad chapel all over again. Because he hates me. Because the game is like, I need to make this miserable. It's fine. It's fine. I didn't want to go find a safe spot to make that boss easier for me. Y'all know we would have gone into the, into that boss area and it would have been fine. Like, I'd have destroyed it, like I have the last couple of bosses. But because I panicked and was like, oh, I should save, I ruined it for myself. Like you do. Also, I keep going into the map, like, expecting it to not update, because I've been playing Hollow Knight a lot. And, like, that's what I keep expecting. It's just that, like, wherever I've just been isn't updating. But it does, and it makes me very happy. I love being able to immediately see what I've uncovered. It makes me very happy. Ouch. Alright, well, now we know that there's a boss down that second long hallway, and I need to locate the save spot before we go in there. Stop. I didn't jump soon enough. Jump! Okay, never mind. You can't jump over the fire. Unfortunate. It's fine. We'll get through it. I just don't want to deal with those bad crows. The rest of this is, like, manageable. Kinda. It's not nearly as terrible. Oh, no. It's not that bad, but those freaking crows. Those winged skeletons. Like, come on. I need you to not. Oh, well. Let's do it. Let's do it for the experience. I got some healing items. Which I should probably use now. Got some shiitakes. I guess let's use those. That should put me back at full. We're very, very close to... And now... Yeah, I'm at 110 out of 121. That's fine. What's under here? Boop. Where does this go? I wish I had grabbed this sooner. Now we got a cool shield. Hi, I've done it all very bad. But that's fine. Now we got a cool shield. Now we gotta find a save spot. And then we got it. And we're fine. And it's all good. I'm gonna try this again. Can I sit here? I thought you could. Because, like, a lady shows up. Or can show up. Maybe that's just in the... That's the bad guy, because he's purple! He's gonna do a stab! Yeah, sit here. I did it a second ago. Do I get anything for doing this? I don't think I do. Are you gonna disappear at all, lady? So bored. It's like, yeah, lady, you got problems. Let me tell you about my day. My dad's come back. Death stole my shit. Some crows fucked up my day. I don't want to be here anymore. But do go on about how you didn't tithe or some shit. Oh, no, don't fall down. Alucard. Buddy. What's here? No, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to do this. I don't think I can get far enough back. Darn! They knew. They planned. They said unacceptable. No taking weird back shortcuts. Right? Next time, Tiny Golden Man. Okay, that's one crow down. Fucking hell! We were so close. We were doing it so good. Right? Crow strong. There we go. Crow too strong, really, if you ask me. No, I didn't want to go in here. You've ruined everything. Can't believe you've done this. Ma'am, would you like to come here? She would not. She doesn't want to. Okay, this is... not the hallway. It's not the hallway. No, it is. That is the hallway. So where's the save spot? I mean, hey, I love the fact that I've, like, increased my health. That's dope. But also... silver plate. Gib. But also save spot. Because the one on the bottom right that we haven't completed is the one with the tiny golden man. The one on the left is the one that has the spikes. No. Bat. Well, this is a problem. I am uncomfy. No, we still... okay, we're fine. It's fine. It's fine. I was just a tower too soon. Get the fuck away from me, Crow. No, because there's no safe spot over here either. What in the world? Don't do this to me, game. Well, this all sucks. It's all bad. tried to duck and it didn't work. The crows hate me, and like, I get it, but also, can they not? Like, I would leave them alone if they left me alone. But they don't wanna. Okay, let's heal up. I didn't need to use the pot roast for that, but oh well. Are we ready to fight this stupid bird? Speaking of enemies, birds. Get out of here, hippogriff. You can't hit me when I am close to the ground. Not even worried. Let's go, bud. Come on. Yeah, yeah. There we go. Wasn't even worried.
Impressive. You're very strong.
What is it you want? You didn't come here to tell me that.
Yes, she did.
You're right. Do you know the name?
Absolutely.
Richter Belmont?
Absolutely. Easier
Of the
than your
Belmont
standard
clan?
crow.
Of course, but
Also, his
Heard
idea
about
of
a year
Richter.
ago.
I love it.
And I'm sure he's here. If you see him, please let me
Okay.
as you wish, my lady.
Just a cute
Thank you.
cute little
know.
touch.
So you do know how to be a gentleman.
Oh my god. Get out of here, Maria. Get out of here. No, stop. So it's funny. I know that there are ways of like getting around enemies fairly easily. But I love that there are like some very obvious strats that you can use for like bosses, but then when it comes to fucking enemies like that, you're just kind of screwed. Alright, look, I would love a save spot. Like, now. I would love a save spot, like, now. This is not where I want to be for a save spot. I should finish looking at the tower. Okay. By the time we find a save spot, it will be the end of stream. That's how this is gonna work out. Get away from me, Crow. I need you gone. Yeah, give me that potion. New weapon. Are you good? Yeah, you are. Perfect, love it, here for it. Be gone, Crow. Just gonna ring this bell and annoy everyone. Make sure no one understands what time it is. Wait, this is where I was. I need to check this bottom one. Please let this one be a save spot. Thank God! Okay. Well, it's not quite the end of stream yet. We still got like 15 minutes. Let's continue on. Shall we? We can find a save spot in 15 minutes, right? It had to! It had to be somewhere nearby. It just is unfortunate that it was so far in there. But it's fine. We got it. We found it. Eventually. It was located. I don't remember this place being too terribly difficult. There's a bunch of oh god, never mind. I take that back. Not hard. Just obnoxious. Freaking bird people, am I right? And these guys. They're dang knights and they're throwing stuff. It's cool. We're like decently equipped to handle everything now. So that's cool. Love that for us. What's over here? Where are we? Making our way across the... Ah! Yes, perfect. Beautiful. Love that. Fast travel locations! It's gonna make everything very, very nice later on. Especially since we will have to backtrack. Always, always backtracking. Oh. Alright, what do we got? What do we got? No. Oh, there's that necklace over here, isn't there? Okay. Alright, maybe this isn't as bad as I remember it being. I think I just got annoyed with their screeches. Reasons. Good addendum there. Otherwise, I was gonna tell Saimu. And what then? What would you do then? Ah, sniffles. Oh, I guess I do need to be up there. Alright, well... It's true. I usually like crows, though, is the thing. These crows are just assholes. I bet you there are a bunch of owls dressed as crows just to spread the hate that Saimu has for crows. We just got a new weapon, and now you're giving me another new weapon. And it's not as good. It's Has he considered getting good? I can't go up more. No, I can't, because I can't double jump just yet. Okay. Well, guess we could go back to that side of the castle. Oh no, don't yawn. No yawns. Oof. Oh hey. Did I not get that? Oh! I forgot you could unlock all of the fast travel locations just by going. Let's fucking do it then. I was under the impression that you had to find them first. Okay. Well, that's fine. This is a good place for us to be. Let's see if I can check out these side passages, and then we'll probably call it there for this afternoon. And then we get to do Fatal Frame this evening! Wait, maybe you do have to find them. But I hadn't found that one because it was behind a door! I am confusion. I am lost. I don't know what's happening. I can't get where I want to go. Alright, well... There is plenty of stuff up here for me to explore, though. I am 100% ready to yell at past Kayshurrr in Fatal Frame. It's gonna be great. Everyone's gonna love it. Except for me. I'm gonna hate it. Nah, it's gonna be good. I think... oh no, I need to stop yawning. I need more caffeine. I need to go for a run. It's so hot out, though. Oh well, okay. yeah, I'm ready to yell at myself. For all of my misdoings in the past. This evening. I think Travis said that I could, like, refill my basic film at, like, a save spot, but I don't believe him. So I might check that out before a stream to see if that's a thing. Or maybe I'll wait for stream so we can either all be disappointed in myself for not taking advantage of that, or I'll yell at Travis for lying to me. We'll see. We'll see, I guess. But yeah, we'll probably do Castlevania for the next, like, week or two until we can, I don't think it'll take us, like, more than 2 weeks. But, this is probably what we'll do for the afternoons for the time being, because I love this game. I really do. I love this game a lot. But until then, let us set up a raid. It looks like, I only have 2 people on right now. Hot Cross is doing some Dead by Daylight. Ghost Panda's playing some RimWorld like she said she was gonna. Do we want to raid Ghost Panda, or do we want to find a new friend? There's only a handful of us right now. So we might as well go say hi to Panda. Be like, yo, how's it going? How you doing? So yeah, let's get that raid going. Hey. As per usual, there are our raid messages that people are welcome to use if y'all want. Yeah, Fatal Frame this evening, 6 p.m. Central. Otherwise, I don't got anything else to say. I'm pretty much covered everything. I filled everyone in on everything yesterday, and I don't got any new news, so that's fine. But yeah, let's go hang out with Ghost Panda for a little bit, and we will see y'all later. Bye!